Okay, Professor Woodruff here. We are going to take a look at Module 10, where we are first starting with systems of linear equations with word problems. Okay, so the first word problem we have is probably one of the harder problems you're going to look at. We have an airplane takes 3 hours to travel a distance of 1,800 miles with the wind. The return trip takes 4 hours against the wind. Find the speed of the plane in still air and the speed of the wind. So what we want to do here is we want to set up variables to represent the speed of the plane in still air and then the speed of the plane with the wind. So let's make still air x. And we'll make wind y. Okay, so if I'm going with the wind, then I have still air plus wind. And if I'm going against the wind, I'm fighting it, so I have still air minus the wind. So these are going to be the first part of my two equations. Now, what's going to go here is going to be the speed. So we have to figure that out. The speed is going to be, for the first part, 3 hours for 1,800 miles. So that's going to be 1,800 divided by 3, which should be 600 for you. So with the wind, I am going a speed of 600 miles per hour. Against the wind, it took me 4 hours. I still went 1,800 miles. So 1,800 miles in 4 hours means that I'm going a speed of 450 miles per hour. Okay, so I got significantly slowed down there because of the wind. So now we have a system of equations, so we can go ahead and set this up to solve. So I'm going to solve this using elimination, meaning I'm going to add these two equations together. I know that I can eliminate my y variables because I have a plus y and a minus y. So if I add these together, y and y are going to cancel out. X plus x is going to give me a 2x, and 600 plus 450 is going to give me 1,050. And then I am going to solve for x. So I'm going to divide both of these sides by 2. And that's going to give me 525. So that is going to be the speed of the plane in still air. So if there was no wind, the plane would be going 525 miles per hour. So now let's find the y value to say what is this wind variable here, this wind speed. So if I can just plug this into either one of these equations, so let's say you have x plus y equals 600, you plug that 525 in for x. So 525 plus what gives you 600? We can subtract the 525 from both sides. These will cancel. Y will come down. 600 minus 525 gives you 75. So that's a wind speed of 75 miles per hour, which is pretty strong winds. Probably shouldn't be flying in that strong of winds, actually. But this is our case here. So still air speed, 525, and then wind air speed, 75 miles per hour. Okay, let's take a look at this next problem. We have find out how many quarts of 4% butterfat milk and 1% butterfat milk should be mixed to yield 60 quarts of 2% butterfat milk. So this is another one that's a little bit difficult to translate. So let's take a look here. What we want to do is you want to set up just basically your amount equation, which is basically you have two different types of milk. Okay, so we're going to say X will be our 4% butterfat milk, and we're going to make Y our 1% butterfat milk. Okay, so you have two different types of milk. Okay, ignore the percentages for now. You have X plus Y, two different types, and the total amount of milk I'm going to have are going to be 60 quarts. So that's my first equation. The second equation is your multiplier equation. So now you want to pay attention to your percentages. So 4% butterfat milk, okay, and we're trying to find out quarts. Your second equation is going to be 4% of the x quarts. So that would give you 0.04x. And then 1% is the next one. So how many 1% of the amount of quarts, okay, would give us this total amount here, which is going to be 60 quarts of 2%. So here what you're going to have to do is 60 quarts of 2%, so 60 times a 2% milk. So those are your two equations that you have set up here. Once you get those set up, then you follow your systems of equations. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this x plus y equals 60, and I'm going to solve using substitution. So I'm going to go x plus y equals 60, and I'm just going to subtract the y from both sides. And I'm going to make this equation x equals 60 minus y. Okay, then I'm going to use substitution to plug that in to the second equation for this x. So this x is going to be 60 minus y. And then I'm going to bring down the rest of the problem. I'm going to change the color so we can see where the substitution went. So you have 0.04 times x, which is now 60 minus y, because that means I'm just plugging this equation in, plus 0.01 y equals, and then I might as well just do this right here, 60 times 0.02, that's going to give me 1.2. Well, now I only have one variable, so I'm going to go through and solve this. I'm going to do 0.04 times 60, which is going to give me 2.4. And then I'm going to do 0.04 times a negative y, which is going to give me a negative 0.04y, then plus 0.01y equals 1.2. So we'll go ahead and we'll combine these like terms here, negative 0.04y plus 0.01y, which is going to give us a negative 0.03y. Bring down your 2.4 and your 1.2. Okay, we're solving for y here, so I'll take this positive 2.4 and I will subtract it from both sides. These will cancel out. I'll have a negative 0.03y come down. And then 1.2 minus 2.4 should be a negative 1.2. And then lastly here, I will divide by a negative 0.03. And let's see what that gives us. That's going to give us 40. So we're going to get here that y equals 40, which means I'm going to have 40 quarts of the 1% butterfat milk. Okay, then I want to find the amount of 4%. Well, that's going to be x plus y equals 60, or x equals 60 minus y. So 60 minus 40 will give us 20. So I'm going to have 20 quarts of 4%, 40 quarts of 1%, and that will yield me the 60 quarts of 2%. All right. Number 3 is a similar problem in that we're going to have a multiplier, and then we're going to have an amount equation. So we have a woman bought some large frames for $13 each and some small frames for $7 each at a closeout sale. If she bought 28 frames for $250, how many of each type did she buy? There's kind of a typo right there. All right, so she bought 2 different types of frames, large and small. Okay, and you can use those letters too. You don't always have to use X and Y. So you can say large plus small. She bought 2 different types. She bought a total of 28. So that's your amount equation. She bought 28 frames, 2 different types, L plus S. Okay, now how much of each did she buy? Well, we know that the large frames were $13 each. So $13 times the large frames plus small frames for $7 each, 7 times the small frames, and we know that the amount that she spent was $250. So there you have your system of equations. Okay, so your total amounts were some amount of large, some amount of small. You got 28 frames. $13 for each large one plus $7 for each small one yielded you a $250 cost. So there we can solve, we can use substitution or elimination here. Let's go ahead and use substitution again. So I'm going to take the L plus S equals 28. I will just subtract this S from both sides, and I'm going to get L equals 28 minus S. So I'm going to plug that in for L into this equation right here. So I'm going to have 13 times my 28 minus S. Change that color there. That's your L. Plus 7S equals 250. Okay, then we will work this out. So 13 times 28 is going to give us 364. 13 times negative S is a negative 13S plus 7S equals 250. If I combine negative 13S plus 7S, that's going to give me a negative 6S. Then I'll subtract 364 from both sides. We'll get a negative 6S equals 250 minus 364, negative 114. And then we'll divide by negative 6. That's going to give us 19. So we bought 19 small frames, which means large frames we bought 28 minus 19, which would give us 9. So we bought 9 large frames at $13 each, 19 small frames at $7 each, and we spent $250. All right, then number 4. Let's see. So this is just a translation sentence. So let's go ahead and work that out. So we have one number is 5 less than the second number. So I'm going to do this one sentence at a time. One number, we don't know that number. So that number, we're going to make that n. Okay, so n is our number. Is an equal sign. Okay, so that's your equal sign. Well, that number is 5 less than a second number. Okay, so let's make our second number, we'll just make that L. I don't know, we'll just pick a letter here. Let's do X and Y. X and Y is better. Okay, so we'll make this number X, and the second number, we're going to make that Y. All right, so one number, X, is 5 less than a second number. So take that second number, subtract 5. 5 less than a number. All right, so then our second sentence, 6 times the first number, remember the first number is X. So 6 times the first, that's 6X, is, there's your equal sign, 6 more than 3 times the second. So 6 more than, so 6 plus 3 times the second number, which we said was Y. Find the numbers. So you have 2 equations, and you have a system. This is already solved for X, so I can just take this in, plug it in for X right here. So this would be 6 times, this goes in for your X, Y minus 5 equals 6 plus 3Y. So 6 times Y will give us a 6Y minus 30 equals 6 plus 3Y. Let's go ahead and subtract the 3Y from both sides, and we'll add the 30 to both sides. All right, so 6Y minus 3Y will give us a 3Y. Negative 30 plus 30 will cancel. 6 plus 30 will give us 36. 3Y and 3Y will cancel. Then we'll divide by 3, and we'll get Y equals 12. So our second number is 12. Now we have to find our first number, 5 less than the second number. So X is going to be 12 minus 5. So x should be 7. So first number is 7, second number is 12. And then just make sure you check that on your calculator. We can go ahead and pull that up right here. So one number is 5 less than the second number. We already checked that. Check it in here. So 6 times the first. So 6 times 7. Okay, is 42. And that is 6 more than 3 times the second. So if I take the second number, multiply it by 3, and then add 6, then I get the same amount. Okay, so those should work there. All right, number 5, this is our last systems problem. We have the perimeter of a triangle. Let me see if I have a triangle shape here. There we go. All right, so the perimeter of the triangle is 94 centimeters. So if I add all 3 of these sides, I'm getting 94 centimeters. Okay, so let's look at this. 2 sides are equally long, and the third side is 10 centimeters longer than the other. Find the lengths of the 3 sides. Okay, so if 2 sides are equal, so let's say this side and this side are equal, those are going to be the same number, x. And then the third side is 10 centimeters longer than these 2 sides. So this is just x plus 10. So this isn't even really a system as opposed to just setting up an equation. Because we know if we add all 3 of these sides, we're going to get 94. So if I just do x plus x plus x plus 10 equals my perimeter, 94, I can go through and solve this. So x plus x plus x is 3x plus 10 equals 94. And there I would subtract a 10 from both sides, get 3x equals 84, divide by 3, and let's see here, 84 divided by 3 will give us 28. All right, so that means that this side is 28. So let's just go ahead and erase these two. So these are going to be 28. And this is 10 centimeters longer, so this next side here is 28 plus 10, so this side should be 38. And then we go ahead and check that. We do 28 plus 28 plus 38, and that gives us 94.